Google may be king of the search engine world, but a new company called Hunch hopes to try and create a new category called a decision engine. Instead of pulling up numerous results based on keywords, Hunch aims to give you answers to questions and help you make better decisions without having to trawl through thousands and thousands of results. And to talk about Hunch, we bring in their chief scientist. It's Hugo Liu from Hunch.com. Hugo, thanks for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Rand.
So this your site's fairly new. You guys have been public for about a week, and there's some famous co-founders behind the company. Katerina Fake, for one, she helped co-found Flickr. So Hugo, tell me exactly what Hunch is and why people are talking about it.
Sure. Hunch is a website that helps people to make decisions, and it gets smarter the more the person uses it. And when people hear decisions, they think immediately, should I get married? What car should I buy? Should I buy a home? But really, there's a vast array of things that people use Hunch for.
So what are some of the most, you guys are creating a lot of these queries, and they're kind of, people are asking it really random questions. What are some interesting questions that you've kind of seen as you've come across the site?
Sure. So I was just looking at our popular topics recently, and I was curious to see that which U.S. party should I join was very popular recently, and also should I get a tattoo? Where should I go on vacation? Am I a really good friend? Should I switch to the iPhone 3GS from the iPhone 3G? That was just created very shortly after the launch by one of our users.
So how does Hunch actually work? Now, some of this looks very user generated, and some, a lot of these things could be professionally created. Do you guys have? How are these results being built?
Right. So we do have a limited content team, but the idea is that that's just bootstrapping the user base, and most of our recent topics are entirely authored by users. So, for example, let's say that someone recently built a topic. Which slang phrase should I use? So a user can decide, I think it's a good idea to have a decision on which slang phrase I should use, work into my daily life. And then other users will contribute questions that could be asked, such as, do you want a slang phrase that dates from the 2000s or something that's from the olden days? And then yet other users will contribute good slang phrases like WTF or oh my gods.
Yeah.
And then what Hunch does is the algorithm decides which questions have the most information in them and decides what order to ask them in. So, for example, a user that might try to decide which slang phrase to use would be asked up to 10 questions, multiple choice questions, and the questions are really simulating what an expert or a guide might ask to help them figure out the result, and then it presents them with a list of results.
Makes sense. So, as the chief scientist, you're trying to do some intense number crunching behind the scenes. What are some of the difficult parts how involved have you been in creating this, and what are some of the difficult parts of creating a site like this that I don't think a lot of people have really tried before?
Right, and I think it's what's exciting and also a bit of putting me on edge always is that this is really a new thing. The user experience is different. We want to source these decisions collaboratively from people, just like Wikipedia has collaboratively written articles. We want decisions to take in the, not the wisdom of the crowds, but I like to think of it as the wisdom of people who have a lot of interest and some expertise. And we want to pool those into a really easy 10-question decision process, which puts out good ideas for people.
Yeah, and this is obviously this is you guys have a lot of different topics on there, like how to apologize. How do you kind of equal out with all these user submissions? How do you equal out this? How do you filter? Say someone just writes a bogus topic. How do you kind of tell that that's a legit topic versus a bogus topic, etc.?
Right. So we have a section of the site called the workshop, and the workshop is a place where new topics are born and incubated, and other users comment on them, and users vote on the completion the completeness and the quality of the idea of the topic. So when something makes it out of workshop, it has the stamp of the approval of the community.
Awesome. So you guys have been around for a week. Any surprises in the last week, or you've kind of been blown away by anything, or is everything kind of going as usual?
Well, I'm not surprised that we've had a lot of surprises. I think that's the thing to expect
Yeah.
when you launch a product that involves a lot of users doing things, amazing things with the site and the product that you don't really expect. But it's been really good for the most part. One of the most exciting things about the data that we've been able to gather to improve decision making is taste data. So we actually gather tens, hundreds, if not 1,000 data points on just asking people questions about their tastes and their behaviors. Do they like to drink from a public drinking fountain? How many times do you hit snooze in the morning?
Yeah.
Do you take crunchy or smooth peanut butter? And it turns out that the more that someone uses the site, the more we can use that data to improve people's hunches.
That's interesting.
And,
So it's kind of like the ultimate, I use Netflix, and Netflix is obviously great because it tells you movies you probably like. This is kind of like the ultimate in that kind of recommendation engine. You figure out, maybe because you like crunchy peanut butter, you might like a really long haircut. You never know. Anyway, we're out of time, Hugo, so we're going to have to leave it there. Hugo Liu from Hunch.com. He's a chief scientist over there. That is for this show. I'm Randall Bennett. See you next time.